Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered by No Fallen Heroes. We actually have some special guests in the studio today. This is a rare treat. Your beautiful bride, Megan. And then we have Justin LaPree, decorated Marine from Fallujah. Like, no shit, Fallujah.
That's right.
He's in the studio, but I forget what episode that was. Like 40, one of our most popular episodes with you, my brother. So welcome to the studio. Welcome to South Florida.
Thank you, Wiz.
And thank you for bringing some cool weather. I am really excited for today, because Justin looks good right now, but he's going to look really shitty in about an hour because we were supposed to fly this morning and woke up and kind of wrath of God crappiness. Although we can't complain. It's like the upper 49 are getting destroyed right now. So Justin and I are sliding. We're doing a 2-ship this afternoon. As soon as we get done the podcast, we're going flying in our No Fallen Heroes fighter jets, man. And we're going to go do some cool stuff. You excited?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. So since we spoke last, you were getting ready to do your first ceremony at Heroic Path to Light. So bring us up to speed with where we are since that ceremony. And first of all, how'd it go?
I'll tell you what, Wiz, it was the product of everyone's hard work over the period of 9 months developing that retreat. As close to as perfect as I could have, dreamt it.
No kidding.
It was perfectly curated. It was the feedback from the individuals that you and the rest of our donors sponsored. Was it really hit home for me as to why we're doing this work.
Wow.
And to see, 10 individuals walk in, at the end of their rope, not knowing if they can make it tomorrow, but they told themselves yes. What if this does work, right? They said yes to the unknown. And to see those 10 individuals leave 4 days later,
wow,
with love in their hearts, with light in their eyes. Wow. It was the perfect retreat.
So it exceeded expectations.
It did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of interesting how that works when you lead with your heart and truth. Kind of good things happen.
It's incredible.
Right? So take us through the actual, let's go through start to finish.
Yep.
Right. So tell us about the 10, were they vets, first responders, and then talk us through the whole kind of the 4 days. Cause a lot of people who are interested in doing this kind of need the visuals, right? Like the tactics.
Absolutely.
Cause you and I can talk all day about like, hey man, you wouldn't believe what I experienced, but tell us about the tactics of it.
Absolutely. So this was, 10 individuals. It was a combination of veterans and first responders. Every first responder was active, which was really incredible.
Oh, they were military too?
No. So they were
active first responders.
That's correct.
Oh, really?
So it was people that I hand selected, that I knew that had been struggling, in my fire department, that really needed, immediate assistance. So, everyone arrived, mid-afternoon.
And this is Austin. You got
your outside
place
of Austin,
okay,
on about 11 acres.
Okay.
And everyone arrived, and that's everyone's time to get settled in. Right. And so they meet we have a bunch of support personnel on site. We have certified integration specialists. We have therapists. We have a medical staff, and then all of the volunteers. So everyone meets everybody, and we do just kind of a meet and greet. So everybody can meet everybody personally, see what everyone's roles are, and just get comfortable in the space.
And that, folks, that's important to know because, and I talk about this a lot, the first time I did the medicine, I'm like, going to Mexico, do some drugs with some SEALs. Not even close to what it was. It was half spiritual, but half clinical, which it sounds like you're the same way. Kind of, you got the spiritness of it, but you're pretty damn serious about the medical and everything else.
Absolutely.
Good.
And so what I am going to be doing in future retreats is we are going to be adding a combo ceremony on that first day, which is the toxin of a tree frog, which cleanses out and purifies your mind, body, and spirit.
Okay.
Really, because I want the healing to start immediate.
Yeah.
Right. So when they walk in this door, they know the healing's starting now.
That's interesting. Okay.
So we had a dinner And then everybody was in their racks by 9 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Before bed, we did a preparation for the medicine journey in the morning. And then when we woke up, it was opening fire ceremony. People spoke their intentions. They put in the fire what they wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
And then they came back into the ceremony space, where we had an altar. We had sage. So we saged everybody, and everybody received in these like small Tibetan sound bowls, which I use as chalices to provide them their sacrament, which was psilocybin.
Okay.
And so everybody had their own nest that was, just in a large circle. And
is this outdoors?
This was indoors.
Indoors. Okay.
This ceremony was indoors.
Okay.
And that because you really want to create a safe container, right? And keep all this energy in this container, right? So we had a beautiful curated playlist from Johns Hopkins University, one of my all-time favorite psilocybin research playlist.
Did not know that. I'm going to look that up.
One of my top 2 playlist.
No kidding.
And so everyone had the Manta sleep masks, and I use silent disco technology for the noise canceling headphones. So, you have one transformer, everybody's listening to the same playlist instead of having, 10 phones, each one hooked up Bluetooth.
Okay.
So it was really great. And this is really me testing different products over my journeys over 5 years.
Yeah. Like we talked about the first time, you were your own psychonaut.
Yes.
You experimented on yourself, and this didn't work. That worked.
Exactly.
Don't do that again. Do more of that.
Exactly. Right. Trial and error.
Yeah.
Right. So, it was really moving. I facilitated the ceremony with a co-facilitator, good friend of mine, Carla Kiefer, and everyone was doing a lot of work. There was individuals that looked like they were asleep for 6 hours. There was people that were moving, and you can see at different points of this journey, people were struggling at different times. They were going through their process, and it was really emotional. It was emotional for me to see these individuals who I personally knew, showing up and doing the hard work. Yeah. And it was beautiful.
What was the dosage? How much psilocybin per?
So 6 grams, 6 grams of, psilocybe cubensis. And this was a strain called Tidal Wave number 4, which is a hybrid that was introduced by Terrence McKenna. That is
Terrence McKenna.
Terrence McKenna. That is a combination of B+ and penis envy.
Okay.
So really, really beautiful strain. And it was a beautiful experience for these individuals.
So for all the folks that are new, that's called what? A heroic dose. So what does that imply? What are talk us through the different levels, because everybody sees, and whether it's Rolling Stone or the news, that microdosing. So talk us through what a microdose would be up to a macro dose, I guess you'd call it, or a heroic.
Yeah, sure. So a microdose is anything under 250 milligrams. So a quarter gram of psilocybin mushrooms is going to be a microdose, and a microdose is at that level to where you don't feel any sort of hallucinogenic properties of the medicine.
I love the term subperceptual.
Correct.
Like if you're microdosing and you feel it, you're not microdosing.
That's correct.
So throttle it back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, anything above that, now you're getting into, larger doses. You're going to start feeling the onset. You're going to start, feeling your vision may be, a little altered, right? The way you feel can be altered.
Yeah, a little heightened.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, around that 3.5 gram mark, because I think there is something to be said about social dosing, and using these medicines in your daily life to where you can be in a great space, you can be around great people, and you're not doing therapeutic work. You're not going down into the deeps of yourself, right, in your subconscious to heal. So that really is in that 1 to 2 gram arena.
You know me, man, and I'm very open about this. I was not a good drinker back in the day.
Yep.
The ibogaine destroyed it like a nuclear weapon. Thank you, God, for doing that.
Sure.
But in social situations, I'll take a little bit just north of a microdose, and I don't feel like I have to indulge when I'm out or something like that. So I actually feel I'm okay.
You don't wake up with a hangover. You feel refreshed. You're alert. Your mind's clear.
Yep.
It's, I mean, the positive, nothing but positives.
Correct.
So around that 3.5 gram mark, we are looking more into the therapeutic levels. And so during the time of my research and other medical advisors that are doing research on psilocybin, that 6 gram level is a heroic dose. Anything, Terrence McKenna said anything over 5 grams.
Okay.
I personally have ventured in between 3.5 and 9 of these same strains that I speak about today.
Okay.
9, I was doing just for research purposes to see if I can trigger a mystical experience on psilocybe cubensis. Right. Which I did.
I was just going to say, and?
Which I did.
Wow.
It was the first time that I ever experienced complete ego loss. So very similar to 5-MeO DMT from the Bufo.
Yep.
It was the first time that I ever experienced that on mushrooms containing psilocybin.
With your expertise in the space, do you know, have other people achieved that? Or it sounds like you might be going a little Captain Kirk. Did you boldly go, or has anybody experienced that ego type of death?
People have, yes. People have had mystical experiences on mushrooms, and there are individuals out there that have taken a lot larger doses than 9.
Wow.
I see no point to go there because I was unable to dig into my, deep inner self, right? Because I didn't exist. And that's where I can't really do the work I'm looking to do if I go there. Yeah. Right. Cause Justin doesn't exist.
Yeah. You're not flying. God or source is the autopilot. So you're not, you wanted to be able to fly a little bit, drive. Okay.
So 6 is really this magic area to where it's going to take you. You're going to have to surrender to the medicine, and it's going to show you what it needs to show you. And you can really do a lot of work in that 6 gram area. Okay. And so
you all talk about the actual delivery. You said it's in a chalice. I know some places, like, the Mission Within, when Susie did it, it was in a tea and stuff like that. What's your delivery at Heroic Path to Light?
Absolutely. Good question. So I'm old school, right? And I don't really, it's much more spiritual for me to personally hold the mushrooms in my hand, say my prayer, and to physically to pick them up and to put them in my mouth and ingest them, in a tea. Similar
to communion. Like
absolutely.
I was raised as an Irish Catholic.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. Very shameless plug for
the immortality.
The immortality tea. Thank you.
Yes. Please do. If you've never, anybody listening, I recommend the audiobook for the immortality key. Yep. Very, very, very fantastic. Really changed my entire perception.
It's not bullshit. This guy is actually a skeptic, or was a skeptic, hasn't done the medicine. He is an investigative journalist. So
that's right.
Shameless or good plug. He's a great dude too.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So outside of the teas really break down the, psilocybin into psilocin. And so it hits you much quicker, much stronger, and doesn't last as long. So that is another reason why I like individuals to eat it in a fasted state. And so it's a little slower of a breakdown. It makes the entire experience longer for them to do more work. Yeah. And the onset is not so powerful. Okay. So it's much more, spiritual for me, and people did really enjoy this, to have these presented to them so they can physically see them.
Correct.
Right. And you can't see mushrooms in a tea.
That's a great point. It's the visual. This is from Mother Earth. This is from Source. This isn't,
Right.
it's not some steaming hot. And I remember, jokingly, Susie's like, they came around for like a second dose and she's like, it was lava. It was, and the lady who administered it, she's like, it was kind of room temperature. She's like, it was like drinking a flamethrower. So I like that approach. The more earthy, it is what it is.
And I also don't redose people. So because then you have different people on different wavelengths.
Good point.
So I like to keep everybody on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
So it's 6 grams and everybody starts coming
6,
and everybody's on the same place, on the same plane
Good.
for 5.5 to 6 hours.
I love that.
I'm not saying, one thing's right, one thing's wrong. They're both right, different ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I have really cultivated and curated our process.
So it sounds like, I'm an aviator, so I use rules of thumb. It sounded like 6 gram might equate to 6 hours ish airborne.
Yes.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah.
All right. So talk to us about around the 6 hour point and the come down, and what do you all do after the medicine's kind of worked its magic?
Yeah. So, we made a rule and I made everyone raise their hands and agree that regardless when you come out of your experience, you are to stay in this container, right? And be there to support everybody,
hang,
right?
Yeah.
You're going to hang. No one's going to leave the space. We're all in this together, right? And then when the last person comes out, which is around that 6 hour mark, then we can close the ceremony. And that's what we did. And everybody received, a fruit bowl. Their brains are hungry now. They've been in a fasted state for a very long time. So they're provided water, they're provided, a fruit bowl, get some nourishment in. And then it's some, self-reflection time. I mean, it's a lot. As you know, a lot comes up in these experiences, and
there's laughing, there's crying, there's
all of the above.
Laughing and crying
at the same time. At the same time,
exactly.
Right? And so, it's to be in that vulnerable state and to come out. I mean, everybody felt love, right? I mean, love is the medicine.
It's it.
Right. I mean, that's what heals us all is love. Yeah. And so to see that on these individuals, I mean, these brave warriors, came out, feeling love for the first time for themselves, for the other 9 individuals around them, for all of our volunteers and staff that were there. Yeah. I mean, it gives me goosebumps talking about it because it's so healing for me to witness this. And it was the first time that I had witnessed a group ceremony, right? I did all my work solo. And so to see this in a group of men who have, gone into harm's way, whether a burning building or the streets of Fallujah or Baghdad or you name it, right? And to come here, vulnerable, and not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring anymore.
True.
And then to come out of this experience and to feel love for the first time and maybe ever.
True.
Right? Yeah. It's extreme. These individuals. It's very overwhelming.
And what's cool is all the men you just mentioned focused for most of their lives on service above self, and this was probably the first time, if ever, or in a long time, that they
served themselves,
were caring about them.
That's right. And it's and I have something to say about that. It's because yes, I spent most of my life serving others at the cost of really traumatizing me, and not recognizing that I needed to refill my saucer, right? That I need to take care of me so I can. If I don't love myself, how on earth could I love somebody else? And
I use, the best example as an aviator is whenever you get on an airliner, they say what? If we lose cabin pressurization, put the mask on who first? You.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't help anybody else in your row, even your kids, if you're not messed up and taking care of yourself. That's right. Okay, so after you close the ceremony, talk us through what happens next.
Yep. So the rest of the day is so we have.
And by the way, it's the best. After I did the medicine, because we had fasted as well, either was after the 5-MeO or the ibogaine. That fruit was without a doubt the best thing God ever created. It is so incredibly good. It is. Not just because you're hungry, but because you appreciate everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the rest of the day.
And I'm not a big fruit guy. I'm like, I am eating the shit out of this entire bowl of fruit. And it's the best thing ever happened to me.
That's right, man. Yeah. Some really good fruit.
It is.
So
brought to you by a fruit company.
That's right. Another great plug. Great plug. The rest of the day, so some self-reflection and some intentional journaling.
Yeah.
And then we have a group integration. And so we had a group integration where everyone got to, talk about their experience and what it meant to them and the lessons they learned.
Okay.
Everybody was crying. Like singly, everybody in the room was crying. And then we, that lasted for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was actually a really long integration, but it's what everybody needed. Everyone took their time. There was no time limit, right? And then we all had a family dinner together, and we ate it. Everyone's starving, right?
Yeah.
So, and then everyone went to bed, and then the next morning we woke up, very similar opening to the day before, light movement, some breath work, light meditation, and then went into our bufo ceremonies, which on average, we give, about an hour to each participant. So we had 2 different stations. I was facilitating in one area on the property. These were outside. And then we had another station set up. My station had all the sound bowls, each one tuned to chakras. It was really beautiful stuff. So I facilitated for 5 of the individuals. I mean, as you know,
Flipper,
to meet God, and to realize that I am is life-changing. And to see this on their faces when they came back.
That's got to be awesome. I would love to facilitate that.
I was in tears.
Yeah.
I was in tears because I knew I speak from my own experiences. And so to be able to have done this work myself, I can relate to what they're going through.
Correct.
Before they do the medicine as well as after.
Correct.
Right. And so to see them come back, I was like, I know what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so beautiful. Welcome to the tribe.
You're born. I'm not a big believer in this term. Before I did the medicine, now I am. You're born again.
You are born again.
Yeah,
and it is spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
There's something to be said here because, we are a entheogenic church and this is spiritual growth here.
Oh God.
And we are using these medicines to grow spiritually, personally, as well as heal ourselves. And, that is the setting that I would want to do these medicines outside of a clinic.
So I'm glad you brought this up because now we're going to go outside of all the coolness to a little bit of legal stuff because I want to step through this, man. You're an entheogenic church. You and I have talked offline and regular listeners of this podcast know I have never, next week it'll be 54, in 53.9 years of my life, I've never been more spiritual. Yep, that's 100%. From being an altar boy, Catholic grade school, all boys Catholic high school. Thanks, mom and dad. That was awful. I mean, I've just never, we were that stereotypical family. Sister was killed by a drunk driver, a lot of loss on active duty, buried 16 dudes type of thing. And I lost my faith. I lost it. And then I've never been more faithful. So let's climb back into some of that stuff. Entheogenic church. Talk me through, especially the guys in the fire service. Did their departments know? Is it cool? How is this okay? Even though I know it's totally okay, but for the folks who are like, how is he doing this?
Sure. So, yes, as of right now, these individuals did not get permission from their departments.
Did they need to, right?
No, they didn't.
Perfect. Okay.
Right. They didn't need to.
Yeah.
This is your religious freedom.
Yes.
Right. These are our birthrights to use these medicines as sacraments for spiritual and religious reasons. And that's what we're doing.
I can't believe, when was it? Whenever they had to repass the Religious Freedom Act.
1993.
Are you insane?
1993.
Didn't we start this place based on that?
I know.
And we had to redo it. Like, hey, by the way, in case everybody forgot.
I know.
It's insane.
That's what, out of sight, out of mind. So,
True.
people, absolutely. And that's why there's this huge stigma, right? And the narrative is so poor right now on these medicines, right? Because what about the government running human trials with LSD?
Oh my God, yeah, the CIA,
right? The CIA, right? Come on,
we want to control people's minds, and we're going to give them drugs without telling them, or prisoners. They did it on the poor guys in prison. Whitey Bulger, I mean, was an LSD guy. That's insane. Let's stay in this area for a second, but I want to go back to the toad. But staying in this area, you and I talked at the hockey game the other night that the Panthers lost about the Wall Street Journal article that came out last week that said Big Pharma, so Big Pharma speaks with forked tongue. They MF all of it. And then now they're like, well, but we're going to jump into it, but we're going to take and I hated the Wall Street Journal headline. They're like, Big Pharma, blah, 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 but taking out the high. Didn't like the word high. I prefer journey. How do you feel about that and Big Pharma jumping in?
So this is a really tough topic. They're gonna come in some way or another.
They're following the money, man.
They're coming in.
They're following exactly.
But it's my idea of things that are here from God and given us as medicines by God, and things that are made by man in a lab.
Correct.
Right. And so you really take that divine element out of these medicines if you make it in a lab.
Correct.
Right. And so, there's something to be said. I'm sorry. There's something to be said here. Well, I'm not sorry, but there is a spiritual element to these medicines, and God, I mean, they are here for a reason. They have been used before the Bible was here.
Correct.
Right? And so, why are they here?
It's funny because on my second journey on the gray day or discovery day, I remember writing down, I laughed at myself because I'm like, I wrote 1 minute journey and I wrote couldn't happen. Because I remember being on the ibogaine, and it was a symphony. It was this production. I remember stepping out of me for a little bit going, this is the coolest thing I've ever, the production values in this are through the roof. I remember laughing but it was, and this is a bad way to put it, but God, it was almost like a court case. Like this entire thing was building, and it showed me and it proved to me certain things and helped me heal. But it was this massive symphony, or however you want to say it. And I remember laughing about that. Like it would be physically impossible. Like, take this 1 minute, you love your wife, go home. Oh, I'm healed. No, it had to be this massive, and again, I got to fix it, court case, but it was this presentation to me from start. It was the alpha and the omega, and it had to happen. There was no way it could have been instantaneous or quick, or Starbucks or McDonald's. Hey, come in for an hour. If you got to squeeze healing yourself into your schedule, right, you're not doing it for the right way, right? I don't know if it was Buddha or somebody smarter than me said, you should meditate for at least 20 minutes a day. And if you don't have 20 minutes, an hour. So I'm not digging the whole... I like that. Yeah, the whole McDonald'sation of the medicine. I like it. So we're aligned with that. Now we're going to ambush Megan for a second. Boom. So do it. So let's pretend he's not here. Talk us through, how have you seen his journey as his loving bride? How has he changed, and this mission changed him? Yeah, well, since the beginning when I met him, sweetest guy ever. Best thing. I know he's right. This big guy. He's here. Oh yeah, he's still here. But I love you. He definitely had his moments where, when he was angry, he could be pretty angry, and the littlest thing could set him off. And I feel like through this journey, little by little, he found ways to do things differently, to look at things differently, and that meant, just the little snaps that he may have for no reason, just with me, with kids, with anything. He slowly just found ways to go about his day differently, and he was happier, later on his feet. And it helped us, because for a while there, again, he's not right here next to me, but I'm like, do I want to marry this guy? Is this trauma ever going to truly go away? And doing this work, at first, when he told me that he was going to be, what he's going to do, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm like, there's no way, my whole life with my father, being a detective and being on meds, I'm like, maybe he just needs some meds to calm him down. I personally don't like the whole, big pharma either, but maybe that's what he needs. And then he did this work, and little by little, he just changed. And wow. Yeah. That's a God moment right there.
Yep.
That's you've seen the transition. This is no bullshit. And you were a doubting Megan before you were, hey, let's throw them on some meds instead of some real meds.
and that's really the lack of education on this topic.
It is.
Right? That's why people...
Well, especially in a law enforcement family, right. Your dad was probably...
I never did a drug in my life. I was scared to death to do it. So to see this, I'm like, this seems really illegal. I don't know about this. And then, like I said, the change was little by little, but that was the best part of it, was it wasn't overnight. And it was him testing himself and growing as he did it.
Wow. That's cool. So it was a little, look at that. You guys are awesome. That's a God moment. I'll never forget, I got to introduce you, Daniel Carcillo, founder of We Sana Healthcare, NHL player, ass kicker. We had done a podcast and we went right down to the Boca Resort. And of course, Chicago Blackhawk, 2-time Stanley Cup winner. And you guys know my family. They're like, we're going to accidentally bump into you over there, right? I'm like, I think it's okay. But anyway, so Daniel and I are shooting the shit and he's asking, because he had done ayahuasca down in like Peru or something like that to heal his NHL nightmare.
TBIs and
Oh my God, yeah. So, they're like, hey, and of course they sit down, and it was weird. It was like the Sound of Music. Like Susie's sitting at, like I'm Captain Von Trapp. Susie was sitting next to me, and the kids were like on a couch, and Daniel and I are still talking. And then finally, he's like, wait, hold on, Wiz. He's like, have you guys seen any difference in your father? And in the time that question took to go through the air to get to them, old me would have been mortified, but old me or new me had a little bit of like, oh shit. But then I was okay,
right? And
nobody said anything. They were all kind of looking at me. I'm like, oh shit. And then leave it to my daughter, my beautiful daughter, Keely. She goes, he's better. And that was it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, man.
In that moment, it was, so I'm so glad that you've seen him get better through all this. That's folks, these are God moments. He and I, meaty knuckle draggers turning into better, decent human beings.
I mean, it trust me, Wiz, it's beautiful for me because I know what kind of monster I was.
Yeah.
And I was living in hell. Yeah. And it was, I didn't know how to get out of it. And that's really,
isn't that a horror?
It's horrible. And
it's the worst feeling being down there too. It sounds like you and I both had our dark nights of the soul, man. I had mine lying on a floor, or and if it wasn't, thank God for my beautiful bride or my children, I wouldn't be sitting here, man.
And here's the thing, there's 44 veterans. We're not even talking about suicides and first responders right now, right?
My God,
but the 44 veterans not being able to get out.
Insane.
Get out of their own hell. And they'd rather leave their brides and their kids behind, right? Or their husbands. Because that is a better alternative than waking up tomorrow with the same pain that they're dealing with.
Our mission objective, our joint mission objective is to bring that number to zero, man. Right. If you're listening, folks, there is a way out. I guarantee you. It's not easy, but it's better than the alternative, man. All right. So good stuff. Let's get back to the 5 though, because it really seems like, because you call it Bufo, I call it the Toad, 5-MeO DMT. Let's get back to that because it sounds like that's all these medicines. And the way I'll explain it, the God molecule, right? This is I hate using the word, what's a better word than violent? I mean, you and I, when we disintegrated.
Intense. It's not violent.
And
it's beautiful.
I want you guys you got to meet her, Nicole Fox, our director of medicine operations. As we're speaking, she's on a flight back from Paris. She was in Gabon for a couple of weeks getting initiated into a tribe with the Bouidi tradition with the Iboga. So she's going to be a great resource for all of us. I bring that up because she's always like, stop telling people you died on the 5. I'm like, I did. She's like, don't. I'm like, help me fix that? So what were for the 10 folks, the 10 dudes that were with you, how would they translate it? What was their experiences like? Give us the good and the bad and the ugly of their 5 experiences.
There
was no ugly, I'm sorry, or
there
the bad.
was. Yeah,
it's all good.
That's right. I like to use
I call my
right?
flip, I'd put that in the other category, but
Well, it's really interesting because some people, there's a very small percentage of the world that's ever received 5-MeO DMT.
True.
And it's very small. And so I know that there is a great chance that 100% of our participants that are coming through our program have never received that medicine before.
Easily.
Yeah. Right. And so, I'm, part of me is like so excited for them to be introduced to this level of healing.
Yeah.
Cause it is the strongest compound that man's ever found. And the fact that it's in a toad that only comes out once a year.
Yeah. It's like, poisonous technically.
I want to know who that man or woman was, like, who found this.
I want to party with that guy.
Right? So, yeah. So, some people lay there. Some people don't move. True. Like you were talking about, your arms and your legs, when you truly transcend, are in this symmetrical, perfect motion with each other. And I did see this. I saw it firsthand.
Oh, you did?
I did. It was the first time I've ever seen it.
No kidding.
And he had completely transcended. And it's and I don't know if you've ever seen a ceremony personally, but I know you've received.
I've heard the guys,
right?
The yelling or the
And this is why I did it outside, because everybody else was inside. So I wanted
some distance. You need some distance. You don't want to hear somebody else's experience,
because it could sound frightening. Right.
Yes.
There, people are, there is some, there could be some yelling. It is very, listen, I've received the medicine 7 times, every time, all 7. It's frightening.
Yeah.
Right. It's frightening. And I know what's happened. I know what's going to happen.
Correct.
And
it still
frightens me every single time.
Correct.
And so it is, well,
hold on. I'll be Nicole. Not frightening. It's,
well, your ego
intimidating, or your ego is scared.
Your ego is scared.
The second time I went to do the 5, I knew the first time it was so, I've never experienced anything in my life. So it wasn't a fear. It was either a respect or because this is an SAT word, ineffable.
Yeah, sure.
You can't even, I can't describe it, but I wouldn't say fear, but it is definitely I don't know. We got to do some work on that.
Yeah. But I think, a lot of people are afraid of the unknown, right? And
maybe that's what
it's
is.
It's hard for people to surrender, right? Their ego does not want to surrender.
Correct.
That ego really is comfortable with being, Matt's and Justin and Megan.
Or the ego being in charge.
Yeah, correct.
I don't want to disintegrate, man.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't want to show you who you truly are, which is perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's really something to see these individuals go through these 5 MEO experiences, and completely, get in sitting, their ego is completely, lost. And I think that's a good way to say it, is complete ego loss. And, they become the I am. They are God.
Yeah.
You're God. I am God. Megan's God. We're all God.
Yes.
We are everything.
Yeah.
And for someone to experience that is now, that's no longer, and you hit on this at the hockey game, this is no longer faith anymore. And I think it was Susie that said it.
Yeah.
Right.
It was Melanie Luttrell.
Oh, Melanie Luttrell.
Makes
Gotcha.
the Pope look not Catholic. And she's like, Wiz, I lost my faith. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. She's like, no. I have knowledge. I have experience. I don't need faith. I'm like, wow.
And that is what the Bible is. It's a collection of individual mystical experiences.
True.
Right. And that's what we are living out right now. We are having mystical experiences with these medicines.
Correct.
And to be able to actually say that from a firsthand experience.
In there. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because when you're dealing with, the fire service or police officers or Marines or Navy fighter pilots, the word surrender is usually offensive to us, right? Yep. So I've always, when I see that word in the book, I'm like, fuck that, man. I'm not surrendering. You can kiss my ass. So it's more of acceptance.
It is.
Right? And one of the rules of engagement that I tell people about the medicine is what you resist persists. So if you kind of if you can let go a little bit, I get surrender might hit you the wrong way, but if you just know that everything's, to steal Susie's podcast title, it's fine. Yep. It's fine. If you trust, it's going to be great. And he's going to see this in about an hour and a half when we go flying, and we're going to do some formation flying. When I teach a kid how to fly formation, we're going to be really close to another airplane. I'm going to show you Blue Angel close. But when I'm teaching a kid to do that, usually they're squeezing the black out of the stick in the throttle, man. They're like, it's terrifying. I'm like, let go. wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit, man, and things will get better.
Sure.
It's that easy. But the more they hold on,
Trust the process.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, let go.
Trust the
It's
process.
like Star Wars, man. Luke, let go.
Right.
You turned off your targeting.
But
display.
it's hard for people because they live their life being in control of their life.
thinking they're in control.
Right? Their ego thinks they're in control.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
And you're talking to a Marine and a fighter pilot who we are absolutely in control. Don't like being out of control,
Correct.
right? We don't want to be out of control today, right? But yeah, the medicines allow you to know that everything's okay.
That's right.
Everything is fine.
That
Even
is
when it's a horror, it's fine.
And then you come back and you're like, wow, that feels really good to not be so stressed to try to control every single thing that happens in my life.
Correct.
And try to control other people's lives. Right?
Here's a good metric of success to your point, Megan, about him being better with stuff. I'd be the guy in the left lane riding up your ass. Like a month after the medicine, driving on 95, Susie's like, holy shit.
Chilling.
Hanging, baby. I'm hanging in traffic. I'm not bending the steering wheel into
There's
a
no rush
pretzel.
anymore.
I'm good.
I love it.
Old me in my fucking Porsche.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I'd climb over your car if you don't get out of the way. It's all
I know.
good now, man.
I know.
I'm okay. All right. So the 5, you guys get done that ceremony, and then let's talk through that. Do you do like a mass debrief or?
Yeah. So, we one person at a time receives the sacrament. So we had 2 groups going at once. So there was 5 groups of 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, they would go after their ceremony. They would get again the best fruit bowl ever.
Exactly.
And then then it was self-reflection time.
Mm-hmm.
That experience is
A little bit more individual, right?
very, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And I tell people, don't try to understand it all now. Don't look for answers, right?
Yeah.
Sit with it, be present with it. And don't compare experiences with anybody. That's really hard to come out and be like, hey man, where'd you go?
Yeah.
Right. No, but don't compare experiences. Every experience for everybody is individualized.
There's a lot of great sentences that I hold on to and I put out to people. You got exactly what you needed.
That's right.
You might not have got what you wanted.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the 5.
Absolutely.
Because the first one where I transcended and flipped in the bed and was reborn, literally reborn. The second time I did the medicine, I was like transonic. I didn't transcend and I was supersonic, and it was so frustrating. I couldn't let go. I was so fearful and all sorts of stuff like that. But in the debrief and the reflection after that, I got exactly what I needed.
What you needed.
Because Cynthia, she's like, anytime, she's like, I probably should have told you this before, but I didn't. But let me tell you now. She's like, anytime I've seen people step back into the medicine like you're doing to want to help people, the medicine's going to show you everything.
Yep.
She's like, did you expect the exact same thing that you got the first time? I'm like, well, she's like, then you would not have been able to
grow,
been an instructor pilot. I'm like,
sure.
Should have told me that beforehand.
Right. Yeah. Very
but
true.
it was frustrating, but you're right. The 5 is a uniquely individual circumstance. I'm glad you said this, and this is going to be on my highlight reel. You said you become God, you become one with God. I've said that in the past, and here's, our society today, there were some people who got their feathers in a ruffle. How dare you? And how dare you, you need to get back to church. You need to, what's the word? I'm not even going to say it, whatever. It was kind of like I was something about like how it was whatever it was. There was a lot of people that got their nose out of joint. I'm like, man, when I disintegrated and became one with God, I think that's kind of the whole point.
We're all God. Everything's God.
But people who do it's a dude with a white beard on a throne and you got to, bow. I'm like, dude, that's not what I experienced. I might've been raised like that, but it's interesting. I'm glad you said that because I'm like, I've said that before and people kind of,
and listen,
to each their own,
the trees, the land on earth,
everything,
the flowers.
Yep.
That's God. The birds, the fish, the animals, the humans. It's all God.
Everything.
And so, I remember screaming this. I screamed it. So when I came out from my first ever Bufo experience, I was like, I am God. And my ego heard that. And I'm like, wait, what did I just say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I really sat with that. I'm like, wait, did I just say that? Like, what does that mean? And so I really sat with that for a few months.
Yeah.
And I was like,
because that's contrary to everything you learned up until that point. How dare you?
Exactly. And
You're going to hell.
And I also went to all boy high school.
Yeah.
I went to a Jesuit school in Houston, right? And
so you got your ass beat too.
I do. I grew up in private school my whole life.
Yeah.
And so, to have this experience, I was like, wait, is this okay to Is this okay to say? Is this okay to feel? Because of the narrative and what you've been told to believe in. And so, yes,
I am so glad to hear
God.
this. Man.
We are all God, right? And
that's the
really
point.
I mean, we are direct reflections of ourselves, and we are created by God. And we are God in the human form here, guys. We are all the same thing. We all come from the same place.
As humans, we make God into our image of him, it, she, right? It's the exact other way around. Exactly. God exists everything. When I disintegrated and went into everything, I became one with God. I'm so glad to hear that, man, because this, a lot of people will get sideways based on that. And I'm like, the God that I experienced is not saying, bow before me, you worthless, piece of shit, and crawl on broken glass. I'm like, that wasn't it. And I'm glad to hear that a lot of people have that uniform experience. Was there any like hardcore atheists or people who just didn't believe in the 10 that what was the biggest takeaways of some of the 10? Was there anybody who kind of like, hey, there is God or anything like that? Or
yeah, Megan, would you like to
his uncle,
speak on this?
His uncle, he was actually the oldest one there. He was a senior
in his 70s.
In his 70s,
no kidding.
Highly decorated.
It was hard, even for him to come there. His wife wasn't extremely happy about it. So just having that in his head the whole time as well, that
hanging,
this is kind of against God. This isn't really something that you should be doing. I think it kind of stayed in his head the whole time.
Yeah, it was.
How do you make out? What was his debrief?
It was extreme. I mean, it was hard for him. He told me, he was like, hey, first off, that was difficult. He goes, and you got to think he's in his 70s, highly decorated, multiple silver and bronze stars from Vietnam.
Oh my God. Wow.
Incredible human, but has spent his entire life with addiction and all the issues that we came home with. Right. Mm-hmm. And without any help. Right outside of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, even less than what we have today.
And alcohol, right?
Wow.
And so...
and a society that didn't dig it. At least now, we come back from the Gulf War, Schwarzkopf had parades, and you can board with first class type of shit. Back then, they got spit on.
And so he had a spiritual awakening, and he was remembering he had visions during his psilocybin experience that he goes, Justin, I haven't thought of those since I left Nam.
Oh my God.
And this was a way for him, even though it was extremely difficult to have to address these again, but he was able to heal from those.
How's he doing now?
He's doing great.
Yeah.
He's doing great.
How'd the wife make out? Has she up, down, sideways?
Yeah. So
neutral
they
still?
They live in Oklahoma. I personally have not talked. So this is my great uncle.
Okay.
And so I've stayed in contact with him. He's great. The family's great. For me, I knew that he doesn't have a lot of time left. Right. And so if I could give him some, some relief, peace.
Yeah.
To finish out his days here on earth. Then that's what I wanted to do. And
that's great, man.
It was
that's
great.
Good.
It was incredible, right? To be able to help somebody in my family who I knew struggled his entire life for service. Yeah. It was a great gift.
You're a good man.
Thank you.
Nice job for doing that. That's wow. All right. So let's talk about how listeners can help save lives at Heroic Path to Light. How can everybody who's like, either I need to do this, or I know somebody who needs to do this, or I just want to pitch into the fight, how can we help you guys raise money?
Absolutely. So really talking about it, really educating. Please, anybody reach out to me, reach out to my staff, learn about what we are doing, learn about these medicines for healing and spiritual growth. It costs, the program that I've developed is a 4 month, so a little over a 4 month program. It's 2 weeks of preparation, coaching leading up to their experience. We've created a proprietary preparation and integration workbook that is sent to them in the mail that they can start getting in the good.
So folks, a reminder, this is a combat sortie, man. For 2 weeks prior,
right,
you're getting your mission objectives down, your intentions, your questions for the medicine. This isn't, I'm just showing up in Austin to have some fun. This is serious work.
That's serious work. And all these people want to become better versions of themselves. And they're going to be better fathers and husbands and wives and the entire picture. And so the retreat is 4 days, 3 nights. We have incredible volunteers and a staff on site with integration specialists. We have a chef on site to teach nutrition, because we're really trying to teach new habits once we now open up their entire self and mind from these experiences.
Clean piece of paper, man.
That's right. Because we have to heal the mind, body, spirit, and they all have to be cleaned out and they all have to be healed for us to become better versions of ourselves.
Any one of those are still out of whack. It's going to be tough.
And then after the retreat, we provide them with ongoing community support. They have 2 weeks of one-on-one meetings with their integration specialist. And then they have a 3.5 month program with that's really done in a separate integration circle with the rest of their peers that they went to retreat with.
That's great.
And it really is peer-to-peer healing, peer-to-peer accountability.
Somebody who knows has walked in your boots.
So every 10 days, somebody gets a new accountability buddy for that 10 days.
Oh, wow.
And so they start talking to somebody that they would have never talked to before. And they get to, have daily check-ins. Hey, what's working for you? What's not working? How's your breath work doing? And then we give them a topic each day to journal about. Journaling has been one of the greatest tools that I've been able to use in my journey.
I was never a journaling guy until the medicine, and now I can't stop. It really helps. It's part of my healing.
You're right. So, we want to teach all these modalities, and they're tools in your toolbox. So, you're having a bad day, boom, I'm going to pull out breath work, or, hey, I'm going to pull out my journal. So, they're all tools, and, you don't always have to dive deep down into one of them, but you can have a combination of tools that you use for your overall wellness and spiritual growth. And so we provide this 4-month program, and then you really build a community of people that are healing together, because, you and myself and Megan, we're all the medicine. Everybody, we are the medicine. You're the medicine. And so when the answer is love, and we start to love one another and surround and want to impact other lives and collectively start healing as a collective, then we all become better, and we all are vibrating at higher levels, and we're all transcending together. And so that program costs $2,800 a person. If you would,
it seems like a really good deal, to be honest with you.
It's a great deal.
So that's the first time I'm really hearing that price. I think we might be a bigger strategic partner going forward, because there are some other places that are a little, I'm budgeting a little bit more than that. So we're going to have to talk, man. Cause that's
$2,800 to change, if not save.
Plus it's in the United States,
and it's here in the United States.
You ain't going to some other foreign country.
I'm an advocate.
Is a fucking crime.
I'm an advocate for keeping healing in America. And I'm an advocate for healing to be free.
I love that.
And I don't want anybody to worry about putting food on the table or paying rent and not getting the healing they need to stay alive.
I love that.
And so, we are trying to get to 1 retreat a month in the year of 2023.
Okay.
My goal in 2024 is to host 2 retreats a month. And that would mean the difference of 120 individuals coming through our program, getting the healing they need and deserve, to 240.
Wow.
And so we host retreats for veterans, first responders, widows of veterans and first responders, as well as the adult age children and spouses of veterans and first responders, because we really want to heal everybody. The entire family unit.
I love it. I love this quote, man, as you were talking, from Thich Nhat Hanh. Veterans are the light at the tip of the candle, illuminating the way for the whole nation. If veterans can achieve awareness, transformation, understanding, and peace, They can share with the rest of society the realities of war, and they can teach us how to make peace with ourselves and each other so we never have to use violence to resolve conflicts again.
Amen.
That's just that every time I read that, it brings a tear to my eye. So how can they donate directly and throw some shekels at you guys?
Absolutely. So you can go to heroicpathtolight.org. You can donate through the site, as well as you can also donate to the Top Gun Foundation right now, which will then lead into
goes to you guys.
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, this is awesome. So, all right, Megan, this is your shirt. Actually, Susie packed this. It's out of date though, which is kind of sad. It says 22 a day on the back. We got to double it, but that's a no fallen heroes for you. And obviously you're a little bigger, man. So there's your 22 a day. Man. We're going to get new ones made, which is sad, to 44. But let's put it out to the universe today. We'll have you guys back on another podcast where that's like at 0.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be like mission accomplished?
Yes,
I mean, at the end of the day, I'll speak for Justin on this. I'd love for our foundations to be out of business in a couple of years.
Right.
I'd love to be out of this. This would be incredible. No more war, no more poverty, everybody healed. I mean, that would be insane.
The church will still be around. So
true.
Hopefully at that point, we're just we're keeping we keep coming to join a community and to continue on our.
Well, then the church needs to grow. Let's have Heroic Path to Lights all over the planet.
That's right.
Let's have veteran suicide at 0, first responders, family members at 0, and let's grow the church. So here we got to go brief, man. There's for your flight suit, veteran VIP, and then
awesome,
then there's your squadron patch that you're going to wear today, and those are yours to keep.
Thank you.
And then obviously you got a copy From Sea Level to Sea Level, man. You got to read this because it'll help grow your foundation. I guarantee you, my brother. So Megan, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is awesome. And thank you for supporting him. And clearly, let's pretend he's not here again. He probably wasn't the easiest guy to live with back in the day or to put up with, but God is right on time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anything else, my brother?
No, Wes. Thank you.
Did you eat a banana for breakfast?
No, I didn't.
Oh boy.
I didn't. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I tell people to eat a banana before you go flying because it's the same. It'll taste the same coming up as it did going down.
That's cool. Well, no, everybody listening today, thank you for your time. Thank you for continuing the conversation, continuing to educate yourself on these modalities of alternative healing. And thank you for supporting not only my organization, but Wiz's organization as well.
Yeah. So, we are squadron mates. We're joined at the hip and we're going to help each other out, man. You never leave your wingman. So,
that's right.
All right, folks, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. Fights on and namaste.